Javed Iqbal, known only as Javed Iqbal, no serial killer moniker, is a prolific and brutal Pakistani serial killer and rapist who is responsible for sexually abusing, strangling, dismembering, and dissolving 100 boys between the ages of 6 and 16. This guy's brutality really reminds me of John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown. I covered him a little bit ago. I think I did a 3-part video for him because quite a story. What a trash bag of a dude. So this guy, Javed Iqbal, would really make a lot of these dirtbags blush. I mean, what a creepy bastard. Interestingly though, he didn't act alone. Iqbal had 3 teenage accomplices. 3! I mean, this is really rare. These nutcases almost always work alone. And in very rare instances, they may have 1 accomplice. But 3? And children, teenagers? Wow. It's a unique case for many reasons. Hi there, my name's Misha. Welcome to All Things True Crime. Or, if you're a regular, welcome back. I appreciate seeing you. If you enjoyed this video, please like it so more people will see it due to those pesky algorithms. And subscribe to my channel so you won't miss my next video. The subscribe button is right below the video, and then if you ding the little bell, you will be notified the next time I upload. That's All Things True Crime. Before we dig in, I have to address my yellow shirt. Not a big fan of yellow. However, my wife and I are in fertility treatment, and today's transfer day for an embryo for IVF. So it's a pineapple. I'm not a swinger. Pineapples are the symbol of infertility. So I'm wearing this. I don't believe in luck, but in solidarity with my wife. Alright, let's dig in. Quick disclaimer first. This video contains many Pakistani words that I cannot pronounce. I'm going to give it my best shot, but I promise it will be bad. You've been warned. Okay, so enough silliness. The story of Javed Iqbal really begins as a moving target. We're not really sure when exactly he was born. Some records say 1956. Others say 1961. Who knows? What we do know is he's born in Lahore, Punjab, Pakistan. He's the 6th child and 4th son of a businessman named Muhammad Ali Mughal, who is a wealthy trader. We know nothing of his mother. No surprise there, given how women are often devalued in that part of the world, and certainly in that time period. When the time comes, he is enrolled at Islamia High School. There are many of them, but most likely he attends Islamia High School number 4 in Raja Bazar, Rawalpindi, Punjab. I'm sure I botched that. By 1978, he is starting his own business. Seems like it's in his blood, with his father being so successful as a businessman. During this time, he is also attending what is called Government Islamia College in Gawalmandi, Lahore, Punjab, in Pakistan. He is an intermediate student here, which means he's there to attend 11th and 12th grade. It's at this time that his father purchases 2 villas in Shadbag. Mr. Budding Trashbag Javed uses one of them as his place of business. He operates a steel recasting business there, and so steel recasting is where you melt steel down and then form it into a new shape. So he ends up living either in the same villa or the other villa while operating his business. Turns out he lives there with boys, plural, boys. His family is always on him, right, about letting them arrange a marriage for him. They really want him to be married. He continually resists this for a while, but one day in about 1983, after many years of them constantly pestering him, he surprises them by telling them that he has chosen himself a bride, an older sister of one of the boys that lives with him. That's creepy. You might be thinking, oh, it was probably just to get his family off his back, because that's what I thought. Like, oh, he's just trying to shut him up, right? But actually, it was to keep this specific boy from deserting him. That tells me he was already committing murders at this point and the rapes. Full steam ahead. Choo choo. So he gets nervous when some family members decide to also move to Shadbag, where his business is, and near the villas that his dad owns. As the family acclimates to the new city, they begin to hear rumors about Javed. Rumors of bad habits and questionable behavior. They stay silent, though, convinced none of it is true. Fast forward to late 1990. Can I do a fast forward noise? Yeah, that's terrible. Kids these days don't have to deal with VHS tapes and rewinding after a movie's over, right? Okay, so fast forward, rewind, phrases lost in time. Anyhow, okay, so late 1990, a man files a complaint with the police. It is against Javed for sexually assaulting his son. When approached with this allegation, Mr. Trashbag, Iqbal, refuses to comply. So the Shadbag police detain his father and two brothers. What kind of crap is that? I mean, it's an effective method of getting someone to surrender, but still, really? Basically, these cops abducted his father and his brothers and threw them in jail just to lure Javed out. Okay. Well, it didn't work. Mr. Javed, creepy dirtbag, also apparently doesn't care about his family. They end up holding his family for 7 days. On the 8th day, another of Javed's live-in minors was arrested and detained. Quickly, now, for this boy, he shows up at the police station and verbally abuses his family members for allowing the police to arrest the boy. I mean, okay, I'm confused. So, he blames his family for allowing the cops to arrest the boy. How did the family allow the police to do what now? I mean, the family's behind bars. They've been in jail for 7 days. How does he think they could have stopped law enforcement? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Whatever. Eventually, he did surrender to the cops, but not to release his family, right? He doesn't care about them, but just so the boy could be released. His affinity for boys is super disgusting, and also something that is so strong inside of him that it compels him to continue his behavior despite suffering severe consequences. For example, it's around this time that he's arrested and put in jail for about 6 months on charges of sexual assault. Once he's released, he resumes his criminal ways and just takes it too far. He always targets runaways and street children. It's very common, right? But in this case, he sexually assaults the son of a reputable businessman in Shadbag. The elders of the city are informed, and he confesses to them before a pinchiyut. A pinchiyut is the absolute most important adjudicating agency of self-government in an Indian caste. In Indian culture, a caste is a ranked social group, right? Often linked with an occupation. And it makes up traditional societies in South Asia, particularly in India among Hindus. So, the Panchayut adjudicates or makes an official decision about who is right in a dispute at a local village level. As I mentioned a second ago, Mr. Trashbag confesses to them at Gulbag. He signs what's called a stamp paper, which is a public on-record way of saying, I'm not going to do this again. I won't do this crime again. As part of the order that Panchayut slaps him with, he must go around to 100 shops in the main market and apologize. Sounds good, also humiliating, something he probably needs to do, but I'm sure he didn't mean a word of it. It was just a formality, I would guess. Just an action to continue to slide under the radar with his crap. Okay, so it's around this time that his father dies. Turns out Daddy-O was protecting Mr. Gross from the town. He is caught again, no surprise, and this time they beat him, like thrash him and kick him out of Shadbag. Good riddance, you nasty old goat. A lot like the killer clown, his businesses were a front for luring boys. He hires young boys for his recasting business. He opens a video game shop, offers young boys free tokens just to lure them in. Then he would drop cash on the floor. Oops. Watch a boy pick it up, and then accuse the boy of robbing him. And then he would stop all of the activities, pat every boy down to find his money, and then when he found the money in a boy's pocket, that he, of course, the money he dropped on purpose, he would take him to a back room and sexually assault him. Makes me want to hurt this guy. I mean, egads, what a dirtbag. What a, I can't say here, person. So, Javed oftentimes gives the boy the money back after he's done with him. Ugh, Did I mention I want to hurt this guy? Elbow to the face. Dirtbag. What? So he drops money on purpose, watches them grab it, pats them down, finds it, takes them to the back room for punishment, sexually abuses them as punishment, and then gives them the cash back, like paying them. Wow. I mean, he's really messing with these. That's very psychological. Okay, so eventually parents catch on, like just parents of children in the town, and they stop letting their children visit his various businesses. He gets mad at this development, and so he opens a fish aquarium and then later a gymnasium to continue to lure boys to him. This douchebag even sets up a school for children with air conditioning. I mean, who does he think he is, right? Apparently he's rich. Thankfully, no parents are dumb enough to enroll their kids in his school. As his desperate attempts to lure victims fail one after another, he keeps trying. He opens a dollar store type shop where he sells items for less than market value. I'm telling you, he's just losing money. He probably takes a loss on every sale, but he just wants the boys so badly. A few weeks later, his shop closes down as well, like every other fake business he creates. I mean, it's not sustainable. You can't keep doing that. You're just going to be losing money left and right, just flowing out of your business. What a clown. Idiot. Okay. He continues to fly below the radar of authorities by maintaining solid relationships with the police officers in Chadbag. After his dad dies, he inherits a lot of money. Never a good thing for a dirtbag like, serial killer to inherit money. It enables them to continue being, serial killers. Kind of like when John Wayne Gacy's wife moved out and he had the house to himself and he could really just go nuts. This guy inherits all the money so he can go nuts and he can continue to open his fake businesses and just let money, let them bleed out in an attempt to lure boys. So if we fast forward to 1998, I'm not going to do the motion again, that was terrible. He and an employee of yet another video game shop he opens are severely beaten. I mean severely beaten. Javed is unconscious in a hospital for roughly 3 weeks, 22 days, I believe. Since money was allegedly taken by the attackers, the police recorded it as a robbery. But the family later lodges a complaint which alleges sexual assault on Javed's part, and that this was retaliation. As soon as this dirtbag of a human is released from the hospital, he is immediately arrested. Right, that's awesome. You wake up from a 3-week coma and walk out of the door and then you get arrested. A local court grants him bail, though. Not a smart move. And he has the money, right, so he can bail himself out. Now, this part doesn't make sense. But apparently, after he's released from the hospital and then granted bail from the courts, he comes home and finds that his assets are gone. Just sold. Like, I guess his family did it? I don't know. There's not much on this piece of information out there, but he just comes home and it's gone. Okay, so he starts his killing spree in May of 1999. He once said, quote, "I did it to avenge an attempt on my life by my boys, the death of my mother, and injustice in society," end quote. What a loon. Okay, so when did it all come crashing down on Javed the Dirtbag Iqbal? Well, 7 months after he started murdering, I'm not showing the picture, farts. In December of 1999, he sends a letter to police in a local paper confessing to sexually assaulting and murdering exactly 100 young boys. He later boasted to police that he could have easily killed 500 or more boys, but forced himself to stop at 100 because that's what he promised himself. Why this odd promise? Well, for the arrest in the late 1990s for the sexual assault charge. He claims that his mother was forced to watch this happen and then suffer a fatal heart attack. Apparently he and his mom were extremely close, and her death sent him into a firestorm of anger and rage that likely fueled his murderous ways. He will admit later that he has fantasized about murder since childhood. Nature, fantasizing about murder since childhood, plus nurture, or in his case environment, being humiliated in front of his mother, her finding out about his evil ways and then dying while he was in jail, so he could never make it right with her before her death, equals dirtbag. An unhinged person with unchecked anger and just enough wealth to be able to kind of hide from authorities and lure lots of boys. When his mother dies, he vows to murder 100 boys because he wanted, quote, 100 mothers to cry, end quote, for their sons, as his mother had been forced to do for him before she died. In his letter to police, he admits to strangling and dismembering the bodies, and then disposing of them in hydrochloric acid before dumping them in a local river. It doesn't take long for the police to head to his house, right? There they find his walls and floors covered in bloodstains and a chain presumably used to strangle the boys. Inside plastic bags are pictures of his victims. Everything was extremely organized and labeled. Here the police find 2 vats with human remains not fully dissolved yet. He claims he left those in the open on purpose so the cops would find them. In his letter, he mentions a plan to commit suicide by jumping into the Ravi River. So they drag the river and come up empty. Good, right? He deserves a worse death than drowning in his own hand. Scumbag. Maybe a firing squad? No, that'd be too fast. Torture? Let's do it. He deserves it for what he did. So throughout their investigation, they discover he had accomplices, 3 boys. After they bring them in, one dies within days. That's kind of odd, right? The rumor is police brutality because they say he wouldn't crack. Official story is he jumped out a window. Okay. So a cop got mad at him and beat him to death, then chucked him out a window. Woo! Not saying he didn't deserve it, of course, because he did, but dang, not cool. I mean, you know, cops should be above reproach, right? But we are talking about Pakistan, so there's that. At this point, he is in the wind. They can't find him. In his mind, he's fulfilled his mission, right? 100 boys are dead. He doesn't need to murder anymore. He wants to, but he doesn't need to. So he basically turns himself in by sending them the letter, and then he disappears. He just vanishes. For some unknown reason, around a month later, he actually turns himself in, but not at a police station, at a newspaper office, the Daily Jang in Karachi, Pakistan. It's December 30, 1999. Happy New Year, scumbag. We find out through his confession that he turns himself in at the Daily Jang because he is afraid for his life and is concerned that if he turns himself in to the police, they will kill him. Well, what do you think the newspaper is going to do? Not call the police? Idiot. Okay. After his trial, honestly not sure how that works in Pakistan. I mean, the cop threw the kid out the window at the police station. I'm not confident in their court proceedings. But nevertheless, he gets a great judge who sentences him to death. But not just death. The judge's ruling is this, quote, "You will be strangled to death in front of the parents whose children you killed. Your body will then be cut into 100 pieces and put in acid the same way you killed the children," end quote. He went on to say Javed would be strangled with the same chain he used to strangle the 100 boys. It's a pretty severe ruling, but I mean, it fits the crime, right? We're talking about, I often, talk about how these guys deserve punishment that fits the crime. This judge actually did it, So Javed is about to become 100 little pieces and then dissolved in acid and flushed down a toilet. Okay, well, I exaggerated about the toilet. But anyway, good ruling. So the Interior Minister, Monuddin Haider, says, no, the judge can't do that. He says, quote, "Such punishments are not allowed," end quote, because Pakistan is a signatory of the Human Rights Commission. This is despite the Sharia legal concept called Qisas, which is the Christian Old Testament biblical view of an eye for an eye. Ultimately, it's up to governments to determine punishments for crimes, right? And we see it evolve over time as well. But the Human Rights Commission doesn't allow for that kind of punishment. So instead, he is to be sentenced to death by public strangulation. Okay. I mean, that's just called being hanged, right? Public strangulation, hanged, okay, whatever. This never comes to fruition, though, because he commits suicide in his cell in October of 2001. What a coward. Didn't even have the courage to face the consequences of his actions. Typical serial killer dirtbag of a human. He also claims during trial that he made his confession all up, that he's completely innocent. He says it was all a ploy to shed light on the issue of runaway kids from poor families. But then how do you explain the vats of acid in your living room that have human remains still dissolving? And are your blood-soaked walls just for decoration? How did it get there? What about the time you bragged to your brothers about how you developed a chemical that would reduce a human body to a skeleton within minutes? Well, and I mean, how do you explain the diary with graphic details surrounding each and every murder confirmed to be written by you? Okay, what an idiot. And coward. As for his 3 accomplices, Sajid Ahmad, 17 years old, is sentenced to death. Mahmoud Nadim, 15 years old, is found guilty of the murders of 13 victims and is sentenced to 14 years for each murder, a total of 182 years. Mahmoud Sabir, 13 years old, is sentenced to 63 years in prison. So they're all going to die in jail. Sajid Ahmad, the 17-year-old, committed suicide by hanging at the same time Javed did. The speculation is that they didn't really commit suicide, but were murdered by the guards, the police, or the prison guards. I hope the latter, right? I hope they were murdered. They deserve much worse than suicide. So, next up is a nutcase named Clementine Barnabit. She doesn't have a creepy serial killer moniker either, so from this point forward, she shall be called the Voodoo Axe Murderer. Ooh, and so it was determined. Creepy name. I'm even giving myself chills. Okay, sorry for my nonsense. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to my channel. If you have a question, comment, thought, please feel free to drop it in the comments. I really do enjoy reading them and commenting back. So Clementine Barnabit is an American serial killer, and the first female serial killer I will cover. She was convicted of murdering 1 person, but claimed to have murdered around 35. At some point during her murdering spree, a priestess at her church gave her a conjure bag, a good luck charm of sorts in hoodoo. This charm was supposed to give her supernatural powers, making her undetectable to law enforcement. Okay. At the risk of spoiling a little bit of the story, the conjure bag was hooey, right? It was garbage. What spurred her to murder, though, and how she got away with it, who all was involved, how it all came together, are reasons enough to not miss the next episode of Serial Killers. Catch all the details right here on All Things True Crime. It's truly chilling. Until next time, stay safe.